Hi everyone, Melaminah here of Mermaid Medicine Women, where we help women heal heartbreak and create the lives they love. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about learning to trust our heart again. It can be a really difficult thing when we're suffering from heartbreak to learn to trust ourselves and our hearts again. Oftentimes we may feel that our heart is what got us there in the first place, and trusting it and listening to it is what got us into this quote unquote mess. Definitely, this can be the case if we're suffering from heartbreak due to a romantic situation. Other situations, loss of someone, even still, sometimes we can feel betrayal by our hearts. We may feel guilty or maybe being hard on ourselves for loving that person too much, or whatever the case may be. So today I wanted to offer a guided meditation for us to restore our hearts to the throne. The heart is the king or the queen of our temple, our body temple, and our mind is the trusted advisor. Oftentimes, especially in Western cultures, we tend to put a lot of emphasis on listening to our mind. Sometimes it can be very crowded up there. There can be a lot of different voices and angles telling us different things, conflicting things, similar things. We may have that voice in the back of our head that's telling us negative things that really aren't serving us. So today we're going to do this meditation to, like I said, once again, restore the heart as the queen of the realm or the king. And the mind's role is really to be the trusted advisor. The mind is great at dealing with logic and analytical situations, and so there's definitely a place for the mind. But our heart is like the compass for our soul. And when we're allowing ourselves to really listen to our heart and allow the heart to point the direction of our soul path, that's when we really can find the most joy out of our lives. So today I'll offer this beautiful meditation to restore that. So as we become ready, let's go ahead. If it feels good, we can close our eyes, finding a comfortable seated position. If we're sitting in a chair, allowing our feet to be firmly planted on the earth. If we are sitting directly on the floor, maybe coming into what we call easy pose with our legs just gently crossed in front of us. And if that doesn't feel good, we're always welcome to extend one or both legs out in front as well. Maybe moving the skin away from the sits bones, allowing them to sink down into the surface that we're sitting on. Allowing ourselves to settle in. With an exhale, feeling that little bit of a sink as we settle down into the earth. And from an inhale, allowing the spine to begin to lengthen, reaching up through the crown of the head, creating a long spine. Stacking our head directly over our shoulders directly over our hips. Allowing ourselves to breathe easily and allowing our lungs to have space when our spine is stacked properly. Listening to our breath, listening to the sounds that are around us. Maybe you can hear that I'm outside, maybe you can hear the leaves gently rustling in the wind, or the birds calling. And as we sit here connecting with breath, we begin to see ourselves on a playground. We see the dirt and the trees, we see the swings and the merry-go-round, and we see all these other kids playing. And in the middle of the playground we see a huge slide, the biggest slide that we think we've ever seen before. And immediately we know that that's where we need to go. We want to play on that slide. Big, shiny, silver, glistening in the sunlight. And we run over toward the slide with all this excitement, taking ourselves up the stairs, the ladder, one by one, sometimes even skipping a step. We're so excited to get to the top of this slide. And when we find ourselves at the top, we see just how tall this slide really is. But we're just excited. All we want to do is sit down, put our hands in the air, and give ourselves a big push. And we slide down this slide, saying wee, and having fun and laughing all the way down until we land. And when we land, we find that we don't land on dirt. We land on something much softer, much squishier. And we look around and we notice that we're no longer on this playground anymore. Now we're inside this really unique cave. And the cave seems to be pulsating and breathing, expanding and contracting. And we know that we have landed in our hearts. We feel the muscly texture underneath us on the ground and on the walls. We see the deep red color. We feel the pulsation around us, the intensity, the firmness of it. And for a moment, we're just in awe that we've landed in our own hearts. Looking around, feeling, noticing what we hear, what we smell, what we feel. And as we're looking around, we notice this one particular path, this one tunnel that comes to view. And we feel called to go down this tunnel, so we do. We begin to walk. And as we walk down this tunnel, it's getting smaller and narrower, and we have to hunch down and down and down until eventually it seems like we're no longer going to fit. And just when it seems like the tunnel has squeezed completely shut, we see a little tiny light. And we know that that's where we need to go. And magically, miraculously, we squeeze ourselves down and pop out the other side. And we're in a new chamber of our heart. A chamber where there's a throne at one end. And we see this woman laying on the ground crying. She's in tatters. Her hair is a mess. And we go over to her and we help to sit her up, and we ask her, "Are you okay? What's the matter?" And she says, "I am the queen of this heart, but I don't think I can do it anymore. I don't think I have the will or the power." But we know, and we tell her, "Of course, Your Majesty, of course you have the power. This is your queendom. This is your rightful place to rule." And as we look around, we notice that her crown and her scepter are strewn about. Her cape is lying on the floor as well. And so we go about the room and we gather her things. We place her cape around her shoulders. We go collect her scepter and give it to her, put it in her hand. We walk over and find her crown, bringing it back and placing it majestically on top of her head. And as we do this, there is a bright light that glows all around her in a flash. And magically she is transformed. She stands up tall, her hair neat and perfectly fixed. Her clothes washed and pressed and perfectly lying about her. Her scepter bright and shining, and her crown sparkling on top of her head. And she is once again strong. And she knows with relief that yes, this is her queendom. She is the rightful owner of that throne, and it is her rightful place. So she stands tall, and with grace and ease walks over to her throne and takes her rightful seat. But she knows that she cannot do this alone. She knows that she needs her trusted advisor, the mind. And so she puts out the call for the mind to join her. And immediately this blue pearlescent orb floats into the room. This is our mind. And we can feel the excitement from our mind to be once again joined with the queen. And the queen calls to the mind, "Come, advisor. Come, stand by me." And so the orb floats over until it finds its place just above and behind the queen's left shoulder, her trusted advisor, able to support her, to give her the advice, to analyze the data, to give her the results, so that she may make the best decisions that she knows how, to navigate us down our soul path. And we feel proud, knowing that we have once again helped to restore the queen to her rightful throne, and to the mind, the advisor, the place where it rightfully should be as well. And the queen acknowledges us. And in this moment, she gives a message to us that is meant only for us to hear. And with the utmost gratitude, we thank the queen. We thank her for her courage, for taking back the throne. And we thank the mind, the advisor, for being always at her side. And then we feel ourselves being tugged back, being whisked once again out of this room, back through the tunnel, until we come back, out of our hearts and back into our bodies, taking a deep breath. Knowing that we are fully and completely back in our bodies. And also knowing that we can listen to this meditation at any time we'd like. And we can always tap back into our hearts any time that we'd like as well. Knowing that the queen and the mind have been fully restored to their rightful places. Knowing once again that we are safe to trust both our hearts and our minds. So thank you so much for listening to this meditation. I hope that you've enjoyed it, and I hope to see you very soon. Have a great, blessed day. Namaste.